Peace and respect to you all. Welcome to Demolished Doctrine, the beginning of the end of religion. And tonight we have Mac. And I guess per usual, but don't thump. Basketball's in your court, man. It's all you.
Cool. So last time we spoke, we had a kind of a quick exploration of what prayer means to me, and what I'm trying to understand it means to Richard, and because of course with Richard's frame of reference, the person or entities that you're praying to are physical and exist, in our realm, and can communicate with us through physical structures in our brain. So it's like, analogous to a radio transmission, that I don't seem to have the capacity or the understanding to accomplish. That's pretty frustrating for me because God's somebody that's really important to me. So I really want the kind of prayer that Richard describes, which is, I think best described, just to recap, as a way to receive a method or a technique or a relationship with it, which allows us to receive novel information that we wouldn't have from ourselves. And this can be as simple as the solution to a parking problem that you might be facing, or as complex as making a big life decision, or presumably, the most complex thing you could think of, if that's what was necessary at the time for you to understand and know. Now, part of what Richard says is that I am already experiencing that contact, I think, and that I'm not appreciating it or acknowledging it or understanding it as that. And part of the way that he's recommended that I prepare myself better to understand those things is to practice a type of meditation where I allow my thoughts, or we allow our thoughts to calm down. We sit with our thoughts and watch them kind of run like a river until they become a very slow moving river. And then at that point, there will be an encounter with a difficult idea, a problem that we have that we might not even know that we have. And we, at that point, ask for help with that problem, and we'll receive answers. Now, that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to spend some time every day with that ever since we last spoke about a week ago. And I've learned a few things, but the biggest thing that I've learned is that within that metaphor of thoughts being a stream, a running stream, is that I've got a pretty big stream going on. I've got a pretty tumultuous river, and it doesn't show much signs of stopping. So,
Okay.
I can get calm, and like I said before, I'm an experienced meditator, so I can calm myself, and I can breathe deeply and relax my whole body, and I can even, in a way, calm my mind. I can sit and peacefully watch this river, but boy, there's a lot coming at me, and as soon as it feels like it's sort of running down a little bit, oh, here comes the next big wave, and it's this whole nother thing. And now, that's not to say that this quiet time hasn't. Hey, Steve. Earlier, Pixie said that she doesn't see things in black and white, and I said, well, she must not have met Steve. It's the only accurate way to see.
That's the only way you can act. That's great. I was searching for the right way to say that's perfect.
I was going to share that I have had some insight, some personal insight. I've I was sharing before the stream today that I enjoyed some insight about my diet and adjusting my diet. I specifically had impression that my relationship with my body is poor and needs alignment, needs some help, and that the way that I eat is more of a habitual way that's driven by seeking comfort and not really nutrition. And so I realized that there's better ways more effective ways to seek comfort than food, and that I can actually find more health by eating for nutrition instead. So to put it simply, that's a pretty big change. And then also well, there's just that I need some time like this every day, that I need to that this is something that I haven't had for myself since I became a father 9 years ago.
Oh, I did not know that.
And yeah, I kind of switched all of my habits at that point and started focusing on my wife and my new child, and almost exclusively. And I kind of lost track. I didn't mean to. I always said I'd go back to it, but I kind of lost track of a lot of personal practices and personal time that I was spending. And I stopped reading so much, and I worked a lot more. I was picking up more shifts, and there was just a lot of changes that were sacrifices. And so that's something that I haven't really pieced together until recently too. So that's another. So I am benefiting. Like, these sitting sessions have brought me some insights, some personal insight, and maybe even more importantly, they put me into a frame of mind where I can interact with those insights without rejecting them or feeling like they're overwhelming. I can honestly face them and say, okay, this is a problem that I can look at now and maybe make some movements towards fixing. So that's been good.
Before you move on from that thought right there,
yeah,
I want to say, what a blessing to your family that you take your relationship with them quite seriously. That you actually have spent some time thinking about that, and it's not something that you casually say clumsy things about. And good for them and good for you. But I think there has to come some point where I would say, okay, I'm going to give away all my money because I love these people that need money. Okay, so I give away all my money and I starve to death.
Right.
That's the end of my giving them money. And actually, if I took care of myself well, I'd be more able to give them more money over the longer term than if I sacrifice myself because I care about them.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's a hard line, and maybe that's what you're saying right now.
It is indeed. Yeah. Something I have to look at, and I have to think about and do better at. So, and you're right, that'll make me do better at the other stuff. So,
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will.
So I really appreciate that. Thank you for that thought. It is so important to me to be a good father and a good husband. But if that is prayer, if those realizations or these movements towards bettering myself or bettering my circumstances is what you mean by prayer, I can accept that. But I don't think it's what you've described. I don't think it's the same thing. I think it's more like what happens when you just spend some time in introspection, kind of thinking about yourself in a calm way. Maybe that's the same thing. Maybe it's identical. Sometimes I miss what you're saying because it really is exactly what I'm thinking it can't be.
So it's happened before.
Yeah.
It's not without cause that in the some of the Eastern meditations, that they refer to this experience as you getting in touch with your higher self. Because they're trying to teach us how we're going to experience it. Okay? They're not really worried about the mechanics of how it works. In fact, neither am I. I'm not worried about the mechanics of how it works. I'm worried about whether or not it affects real lives in real positive ways and makes people live easier and better and happier. I'm concerned with that. Is it useful? I want to know that it's useful. And although I had a slap in the face moment, that's because I was a hardcore atheist and thought that none of this even had the possibility of being true,
Right.
Right. And let's face it, it's not actually that big of a deal per se for someone to go, hey, you know that book Moby Dick? And you're like, yeah, I read Moby Dick. It's about this fisherman dude and this albino whale, and he's chasing after it, and it's really important to him. And he kind of gives some stuff up, and the other person goes, well, do you ever think about that, like as the inner struggle of person, and how becoming obsessed with something can make you lose everything, even willingly? And you go, I now that you've said that, that's the equivalent of what I got. Was it's just a new reading context I hadn't heard of. Of course, to me, that's a big deal, right?
Sure.
But if I just said it like, oh, it's this other reading context, people go, oh yeah, okay, cool.
Right.
It's not like fireworks went off and there was a booming voice, and it's never been for me what I've heard described in churches as a experience of successful prayer. I've only heard of it like blown up to like equivalent to the 4th of July in excitement for a 4-year-old. I've never experienced that. I don't know what they're talking about. But what I have experienced is what seems to be extreme confidence that what it's portraying to me is it's just a natural fact of how the fact of the matter thing,
Right.
And it's just spoken in a very factual way, and they don't even seem to be trying to be persuasive. It's more like I feel like I'm the 11-year-old who goes, girls are yucky, and then dad goes, you're gonna think different later.
Right.
And it's more like that. It seems real casual to the one I'm getting ideas from. They're just like, oh yeah, by the way, blah 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 blah, and you're gonna want to stick your tongue in her mouth. And
right. No, I'm not. No.
I can't believe that would be true, Dad. Come on. But he's just saying it like, oh yeah, that's how it is. And that's been my experience. So okay. I think the biblical expression, a small, still voice, is pretty darn accurate. It's not like screaming and booming and my heart's pumping out of my chest and I fall down on the floor and have convulsions and maybe one of my legs grow. I haven't seen that stuff,
What about those kind? I mean, I know about the leg growing thing, but what about the screaming voices? What about? I mean, people do experience or they report that, like really loud voices.
I want to know what the screaming voice said. I want to know if it's true in reality. I want to know if it was impossible to be part of their past experiences,
right?
Or if it was possible for them to extrapolate it out from their past experiences. That is, could they have made it up? That's the stuff I want to know, because I never hear that story. The preacher that goes on TV. He's getting older. He likes the color blue. He likes like fitted jackets and suits and stuff. He's a white dude. He's kind of thin.
Olstein, Joel Olstein.
Nah, he's not that young or pretty. This guy's old.
Oh.
Hey, he looks like a mudsucker fish. Not a pretty man. Anyway,
I don't know.
he gets up there, and it's when people were starting to see that COVID wasn't going away anytime soon, right?
I know who you're talking about, Ken something, and he did
that guy.
Yeah,
that's the guy.
Kenneth Copeland.
Kenneth Copeland, that's it. Kenneth Copeland gets up there and claims to have gotten a message from God.
Right.
Okay. Which is fine. I mean, I personally believe that's possible. I'm inclined to want to hear a message from God, in fact.
Sure.
And he says, God told me, that was all fine. This won't last. This COVID-19 won't last as long as you think. Immediately, my brain goes, bullshit-o-meter, right here. I'm pegged. Help. My bullshit-o-meter is pegged out. It can't go past 100% bullshit. Because what he said there was horribly, it sound defined, but it's horribly vague. Right. Here's why. Who was God talking to? The preacher on the stage? Is it the preacher on the stage who's wrong about how long it lasts? What if Kenneth Copeland was actually saying, I think this is going to kill 90% of the people in the next 120 years? And God goes, nope, you're wrong. It's not going to last as long as you think. It ain't going to be as bad as you think. But he had the worst possible case scenario that would beat every disease ever.
Right.
Well, you ask him, he didn't even answer to that. Was God talking to the audience? And which one of them? See, that's called plausible deniability.
Right.
He left himself an escape where later they could say, you said it wouldn't last as long as you thought. He said, well, I thought it was going to last 20 years. Look, it's over in 2. This is amazing. Okay, but God wouldn't need plausible deniability. So I pegged, boom, laid right over, will not come off 100. And everything that he said to follow that was all in a slimy way deniable. And if there were a God saying those things, God wouldn't say it that way because he wouldn't need to. It would be like identifiable and defined, and it would be true in reality, and it would actually happen that way. And that you wouldn't need to be vague at all.
Right.
Like how vague do I? Yeah, I can go over like 40 very definitive points in a specific order on David and Goliath. And if the first one don't work, it's all bunk.
Right.
And it's not a maybe. It's a black and white. Yes, no, very well defined. And that's the way I see real information as, not this foggy stuff. So I know people lie, and the same people that lie tell me that I'm going to shake like I'm having an epileptic seizure and fall on the floor, and God's going to shatter my brain so bad I'll never be the same again. But I also know those same guys are liars. So why should I believe that about prayer? Mm. Then I ask like deeply religious people, right? He made himself public. I'll use his name. Smoky Saint said, I have never heard a peep from God. Well, I appreciate your honesty. But that also means you've never had personal revelation where God felt it was important enough to talk to you, to inspire you, that you have actual confidence in what you're talking about. God never did that for you. I'm inclined to believe God thinks you ain't going nowhere. That's what I'm inclined to believe when you say something like that to me. And he says, like, nothing ever. There's no emotional aspect to it. He doesn't know something that he didn't know before or couldn't read in a study guide or a Bible.
That's interesting. I didn't know
There's
that.
no additional information. There's nothing. Oh, Jill says the same thing. So does Veckel say the same thing. So, I mean, I can make a laundry list of these people that have said this.
What are they basing their faith on? Just
They say rationality.
Okay, they're convinced.
I mean, that's okay. But where's the gut check? Where's the kick in the balls that goes, oh, I can't deny that, and I didn't know that stuff? Where's the impactful part?
Oh, where's the personal part?
Yeah. And that's really what you're saying is I want to see the impactful personal thing. But as soon as you say to me that something like, I've had this realization and I've been me this whole time, and I've wanted to know this thing or see this thing differently because it wasn't working the way I was seeing it, I have to ask, well, how long? And in what ways did you exercise yourself, be that asking for advice from respected other people in your life, people you love and respect, maybe a mom, maybe an uncle, maybe whatever, who knows? And they apparently didn't solve the problem, but you apparently wanted it solved for a long time. What changed in this scenario? What new thing did you learn from outside of self that made you have that thought? And I think that's the right question. What happened that you went, oh, I've been doing this. I've been neglecting myself in man cave time that I know I need because I love these people and I want to be very good to them. And I can see where I'm a little bit better off actually taking some man cave time.
That's right.
Well, why didn't you start that 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever? Why not? Because you're so devoted, you can't have had that realization. That's why you didn't do it before. You're not selfish enough to do it on your own, apparently. Do you love them less than you did last week?
Right. Of course not.
Okay, that's not the change. Did you get smarter?
No,
okay, that's not the change. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
When you start looking at it and you go, well, why now? I've needed this thing. Why now? And you don't have to invent stuff. It gets real obvious why now. You already know what you did and you already know what changed. Okay. So I'm inclined to say something like that.
Right on. Okay. So I can line up with that being God, or God's action or God's influence.
I mean, not everything has been go find your brother at the hospital. Here's how. That's not everything.
Right.
Some of it has been, don't you think you should wear that other pair of shoes?
Right.
And I'm like, no, I don't think I should. I'll give you an example. Last night, done streaming, getting ready to go to sleep. Just so happens I got one cigarette left in my cigarette pack. There's no sense of carrying an empty pack around. So I take the cigarette out, I stick it in my mouth, I throw the pack in the trash, but I'm only one person. I don't smoke 2 cigarettes at a time. So I don't grab another pack off the shelf. I've got a cigarette in my mouth. But as I'm walking out, I hear this little nagging, grab the other pack. And I go, no, I don't need it. And I blew it off and I walked away. I get out there. There's this little old lady, sweet, New Jersey, New York, somewhere like that. She sounds like she's quoting a 1950s movie. Everything she says, she's so horribly like, and I'm not joking you. It's just like that. And that's how she talks. And she was amazing. And she was nice, and she asked me if I had a cigarette. And I went, I had it lit already. And I said, well, you can have this one. And reluctantly she took it, and she's scared of COVID, and she got a mask, and I already had it in my mouth, but she breaks off the filter. And so I walked an extra 300 feet because I wanted a cigarette too. And if I just, reached over to the shelf
Right.
before I walked away, which I was inclined to do, but I blew it off. And you think, oh, come on, Richard, how many of the time you say this has worked 1,000 times and you still sometimes blow it? Yes. I still sometimes blow it off like I don't know what's going on here.
Right.
And I haven't learned my lesson yet.
Hey, Pixie.
Respect Pixie Storms. Yes, absolutely. So no, I haven't learned my lesson yet. I'm still stubborn. I still blow off the small, still voice. It's still never wrong. And it still never says something useless once I got through the elimination process and waded through what was real and what was not real.
Yeah.
Or what was true and what was not true.
That's
After
pretty
that,
cool.
it's 100%. But I still will sometimes blow it off like an idiot. I really can't explain why.
I mean, for me, it would be the fact that impulses like that, I don't have any idea whether they're a good idea or not. Grabbing that pack of cigarettes would have been, I struggled through quitting cigarettes. So it would have been a moment where I was like, wait, do I really need to grab that pack of cigarettes? Like would have been a familiar impulse, but I would have struggled with whether or not it was good idea or not. Sounds like you've learned to identify the tone or the timbre or something.
Yeah, I call it. It's not a sense of hearing. It's not that sense. So to say I can hear the difference is not right. Okay. And it's not a sense of taste. So to say I can taste the difference
right
is also equally wrong. But it's not head knowledge. It's not heart knowledge. It's not a sense of feeling like your fingers or your skin. It's not like that either. It's this sounds so, say that in front of an atheist and they'll just dog you out. It's this unreasonable confidence where normally you would doubt that kind of thing. You'd go, no, that's crap. But somehow, like deep in your mind, or maybe it's in your subconscious, you go, something in your, you goes, no, that's right. And you go, oh crap, that's right. Why is it right? But I'm really convinced now that it's right, and I'm not really sure why. And that feeling comes, and you go, I shouldn't be this confident about this. This doesn't make sense to me. Because I'm not like this. I'm not overly blown up, confident, doing things that I can't justify all the time. But what happens when I exercise that, when I pay attention to that unreasonable confidence that is not part of my actual personality, when I actually apply it, it works in reality. And I have to go, well, that would have been a failure if I listened to me.
Right.
That right there, that little tiny thing and that big thing, those would have been failures. I'd have missed it. And no, it's not. Although I sometimes wonder if I'm screaming at the angels. The angels don't seem to scream at me. Or maybe I just have really bad hearing. I wouldn't know the difference. If I'm mostly deaf, it would come across as a still, quiet voice while they scream because I'm mostly deaf. That could be the case. And if it's the case, I'm probably screaming at them. I'm probably like with a horn to my ear screaming at the top of my lungs. What'd you say, Sonny?
Yeah.
Because I'm freaking deaf. And maybe I am screaming at them, but I wouldn't know how I would know that. I mean, they don't seem to go, hey, you could chill out. They don't seem to object. So they like understand or put up with it or something. And they just let me be deaf. And they scream and they put up with me screaming at them, and it's fine.
was reading the side chat there. Iron Chariot here has
It's an interesting brain.
Yeah, I think belief in God or gods is a reflection on people's decision-making skills.
Sure.
You know, if they profess that belief, then we know they've made some decisions.
I don't know, Iron. Everything that we think is true has an effect on our decision making. If you believe things that can't be true, but you hold them as true, you're probably denying some logic. And that probably could stunt you, but only in that area because people can compartmentalize these things, right? So you could say something like, this human being seems really bright. They deny reality when it comes to religious things, but they're also a successful defense lawyer. You know, that's because they don't mix religion and law, and they don't ignore reality as a lawyer. They only ignore reality as a believer. And we can sectionalize that way. You're well aware. I imagine everyone here is well aware that we can do that. So it's kind of it's non-overlapping magisteria, if you will. Yeah, it affects their decisions on things on that topic. So yes and no. It doesn't seem to be fully disabling. You know, I've met deeply religious people who were theoretical physicists and astronomy professors. Like, the guy's smart, and he's talking about theoretical physics for a living. He gets paid for talking about that stuff, right? But he's a Mormon. So
that's true. That's true. I'm not sure how that ties into free will, but
I'm not sure either, but I'm going to answer to it anyway. I don't think we have free will. I think we have free won't. That is my additions in experience and memories allow me to go through an elimination process where, from outside of me, an accidental prayer, every time I formulate some kind of a question, suggestions come. I select from the suggestions. I'm going to go with the suggestion that I think is best. That's based on my morals, which are subjective, my logic, which is not perfect, my past experience, which is too individualistic, and I'm going to have, because of that, some failures and some successes, because I'm just too darned inaccurate. When I learn to culture what is bullcrapometer pegging and what is not, I only get the good suggestions, and the suggestions work every time I formulate a question. Now, that's something to aim for. That doesn't happen in a week, I think. I think it could happen in 6 to 8 months of familiarity and practice. But I think you couldn't do it in like a week or 5 weeks, probably. Maybe you can, but I wasn't even anything close to that. It took me a long time. Okay. But I also can kind of smell, hear, taste when something is an absolute lie and just reject it right away. Okay. Which is a really handy thing to have in everyday life when I allow that to happen. And I have to allow it. Mm-hmm. There's an apparent on-off switch where I can go, nope, and just flip it off. And it doesn't work. And it doesn't happen. And the suggestions don't come. And I don't ask questions. And life's okay like that. I survive okay. I make a lot more errors when I'm not asking. Right. You know? And I don't have good things to select from. I just have whatever I think to select from. And that works out like about an average success rate for somebody like me in this part of the world at my age. You know? Sure. Yeah. It's pretty darn predictable. But it's not good. Right. It's not better than average. It's just average, you know? Huh. So I don't know, Mac.
Well, that's encouraging. It sounds like maybe I'm on the right track here.
I expect very little of it to be earth-shattering big experience. That hasn't been how it's been for me. I mean,
Right.
I'm real excited about this stuff because I thought about the logic of it and said, I can't have done that. It's
Right.
impossible to do that. I know I didn't do that, and that compels me and that excites me. But
Right.
it's basically an argument from the theory of information. And as soon as you start a conversation, hey, would you like to have a conversation about the theory of information and why prayer is indicated by our actual experience? They're already turned off. They're done with the conversation. You were already too technical. They don't care. So it's not like how to win souls.
Right. Right.
That ain't it, you know? You say your decision making skills is random, are random, or defined. Are my decision making skills random or defined? As I age, they get more and more defined. I find more and more successes. And I know the kinds of things that succeed most often in a certain kind of scenario. When I see that scenario, I repeat that behavior. That is, I learn as I go, which I think we do. That's fine. Here's the really weird part. Everything that I've heard in prayer, I got to keep that too. And I get to apply it several times, and it keeps working. So either A, I'm smarter than I think I am, and everyone else who knows me thinks I am, and better than my test scores ever showed by a lot, or I'm having conversations with not me. I'm going to choose B on that one. I'm having conversations with not me, and they're smarter than I am. And that's awesome. I'll take advantage of that all day long. I use it all the time.
And isn't that true for almost everyone? I mean, every normal, intelligent person doesn't everyone at some point in their life receive novel information
Sure.
or acquire it? Maybe I shouldn't say receive. I don't mean to have loaded terminology, but don't they generate or encounter novel information at some point that
Sure. And they got names for it. They call it gut feeling, intuition, serendipity, coincidence,
eureka?
luck, happenstance.
Yeah,
What do you think all those terms mean? Those
right,
terms are statistically impossible.
right,
Like the word luck means defeat of statistical likelihood. Do you really think luck happens? Oh, I think we should grow up. There is no karma. There is no luck. There is no happenstance. There is no coincidence. There's no gut feeling. There's no intuition. You are knowing things you can't know. Just
right,
admit it.
right.
You know things you can't know. Now stop and think about how you could possibly know things that you never experienced. And yeah, sometimes it is, where are my damn car keys?
Right.
And a picture flashes in your head of a part of your house, where are your car keys? And it doesn't matter before that how many times you thought, I got to get to work. Got to work. Where's the car keys? Come on. I got to find the. No, you never did ask the question. I got to find the car keys. I'm looking for the car keys. They look like this. You're reviewing in your mind what the damn car keys look like. You've seen them every day for years. It's not like you need a review. You just cannot place them. But as soon as you go, where are the car keys? Pop picture. Why? They tell me you didn't want it 3 seconds ago. Yes, you did. You were freaking out about losing your job. But as soon as you ask the question, you don't ask your brain questions like, how do I start the car?
Right.
It's not a question thing. You don't ask your brain questions like, who was the first human I kissed in a serious adult kind of way? No, you just know it. You just know it. You don't ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't know something and you do ask a question and you get a pop impression like a still frame photograph or a miniature movie, that's not you remembering something. That ain't what, you don't ask your memory questions. Nobody has to do that. I don't know someone who asks their memory questions in order to remember things. Like, who past the age of 9 went, how do I tie my shoe? Oh, I tie my shoe by putting left over right and under, pull tight. Rabbit goes around the tree and into the hole at the base of the tree, pull tight. Who the hell does that? Nobody. So why does the answer come when the question is formed? And as soon, usually. You know what I started doing? Giving up easier. I give up easier. I just go, oh, I've got to remember something? Never mind, I'm just going to ask the damn question. I don't want to bother remembering. It's too much work. Searching my memory for where I left that odd tape measure. And oftentimes I can remember where I left it, but that takes longer and I'm lazy. And if I ask the question, the picture just pops in my head and I know where it is and I go get it. I don't have to work so hard.
Interesting.
Isn't that the goofiest thing? It's better than my memory.
I'm going to definitely try that. I'm forever misplacing my rubber mallet.
You have a specific rubber mallet, or is that just an example?
No, specifically my rubber mallet, because I use it for lots of different things, and then I just leave it wherever I used it last. But I never remember where I used it last. So I'm like, where's that damn rubber mallet?
I can access my memory. I have a really good memory. You know, I remember things from long ago, and I remember what I had for dinner last night, and that's all fine. But for whatever reason, there's certain things that I'll have trouble remembering, and I'll immediately like go into panic mode. And the panic won't let me think.
Right.
And I can't even remember because I'm too busy panicking.
Right.
So I just go, I don't need to panic. I need to internalize an actual question that makes sense in this contextual frame. Let the suggestion come, go see if it's true. And what's funny for me is the suggestion, and I've done like comparative studies. I like remember a thing, right? And I'm dead set on it. Ask the question, different answer comes, investigate them both.
Oh, okay.
Why not experiment with it? See which one's better.
Right.
And just don't lie to yourself. That's all. Why not say, where did I leave my mallet? Let's see. I remember closing a paint can. The paint was by the shed.
Right.
That paint's in the shed. The mallet's on the paint. And then go, where's the mallet? And see if you get a different answer. See which one's right. I mean, yes, it's wrong to tempt someone who loves you. It's not wrong to test the spirits and test someone who loves you. Nothing immoral about that. Don't you sometimes go to your wife and say, knowing that she doesn't like to get a blackhead from your back under her fingernail, pull up your shirt and say, babe, scratch that blackhead right there, will you? Haven't you done that just to see if they will?
I've never done that, but
maybe
I know
not that one. Maybe not that one, but there's something that you did when you went,
sure.
Does still feel the same way. I want reassurance right now.
Yeah.
You know, I need that. Yeah. And it's not a game, it matters. You know?
Right.
And that's not immoral. You know? I would never like tempt God by like proposing a prayer where he kills me. That's crossing a line somewhere. Because now you say something like, if he doesn't kill me, he agrees with me. Where he just declined to kill you.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's a problem. And I heard somebody actually do that, by the way.
Oh.
If I'm wrong and I'm saying things that aren't correct, may God strike me down.
Down,
If
yeah.
I'm wrong and end my life, and like, whoa. You just assumed a lot there. Can we slow down a little bit? Like, okay, so there's, I don't know, Mac, are you kind of, because there's a lot of questions in the side chat, and is that cool with you? And
oh yeah, for sure. Sorry, I neglected the side chat there. Oh, DeFreak is here.
Peace and respect to Freak. Yeah. You want to answer to DeFreak? I had a question.
Looks like Steve fielded that one just fine.
Okay.
Saw her face.
Okay.
No, I believe in God. I struggle with that belief, and I don't defend it well. And Richard is helping recontextualize that belief in a lot of ways. So I'm kind of making it so that I don't feel like I have to defend it. Or anyway, we try to get to the meat of things, Richard and I. That's what I try to do with him. So
that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So the whole, like, I mean, I don't believe in stuff that I try not to believe in stuff that I don't have a reason to believe in it. But I don't think I have a great reason to believe in God. I definitely don't think I have a good reason to believe in the commonly taught interpretation of the Bible. Especially the Old Testament stuff. I think the way that I was brought up learning that stuff, it's just ridiculous. And and if God really exists, then it's really a shame that that's how God is represented. I saw that too. Thanks a lot, Christian.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, buddy.
And Secular Pagan Mom is one of my favorites. Hey, everybody's in the chat. So yeah, let's interact with these folks. Let's answer some questions, or invite them in if you want.
Yeah. If you guys want to come in, just say something like that in the chat. I'm reading you. I mean, I'm reading what you write. I'm not reading you. Don't get scared.
It's Iron Charioteer that's got it's really driving the questions though.
Yeah. Do you receive revelations, and where do they come from? It's a really interesting question, actually. See, I have to make some extrapolations to say where, other than not from in me, right? I can say definitively whether or not I could have come in contact with certain information. Like, feel free right now to search your memory, right, for the nearest strip club to me. Go ahead. See, you don't know that because you don't know where I am, and you don't know where the strip clubs are, and et cetera, right? Like, you literally don't know. But if you formulated the question, right, and then you got indicators like, say, symbols that represented street names, or the written words of street names, or the name of the club, or the street that it's on, or buildings surrounding it, or like a bird's eye view of looking down at the building itself, like you were actually like floating in there looking at it. Those kinds of impressions, if they're true and accurate, you can't invent that stuff because you just don't have the experience. So let's say you asked the question and you got like 3 symbols that were specific names of, like a picture of Benjamin and a picture of Washington and a picture of a maple, right? So you say, oh, okay, so that was Benjamin Washington Maple. Okay. But then I go, well, actually, those are the 3 streets that wrap around the bar. Well, that's just way too damned accurate, you know?
Right.
There's no way you would guess something like that, and you can't know it. And that's how I know it's not me, is when things like that happen, okay? Now, where do they come from? You're actually asking, who does it come from? That's what you're really asking me there. Okay, so I can say definitively not me when I don't have information. All right, it's not where are my car keys. That is somewhere in my brain. I know that. Right. Big Zebra. He's a comedian. But things I can't know. Oh shoot! I read a joke and I shouldn't have done that. Where was I? Why strip club? Because that was a real thing that happened. A friend of mine came to me and I was telling him about remote viewing or prayer or whatever label you like. I don't really care. And he said, "You don't do that. That's impossible. Prove it." So I immediately replied to him, You just said to me, save my eternal soul. I know it's not the words you used, but to me, that's what you just said. And now I'm under a lot of pressure, and that's not me trying to escape the challenge. I just need to admit that's a lot of pressure so I can get rid of the pressure, right? And he said, okay. He said, where am I going tonight? And I drew from the inside perspective, standing on the floor as a normal-sized human, the inside of a room that I've never been to in my life. It definitely had enough detail that it couldn't have been some other room. And then he identified that is the room that he was intending to go to that night, which is in a strip club. Okay. So I haven't even been to a strip club since 2000 and probably 10, I think, or earlier. 2010 for sure, but probably earlier. I don't really care. And I haven't been to a strip club, I know for a fact, at all in this state, in this city that I live in. And I know that I don't go to that town. And I know that they don't put pictures of the inside of the club on the outside of the club. So I couldn't even have seen a picture of the place at all in any way. By the way, they don't put the pictures of strip clubs on commercials on TV and radio. You're just not going to find the information. It's not there because the guys that go there don't care about what the inside of the room looks like. That's not what they're not there for the ambiance, so to speak.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Not why they're there. So they don't put those pictures out there, even in like if they had a magazine from the strip club, it wouldn't include pictures of the room.
Definitely not.
It'd be pictures of the women who strip in that room. That's what it would be. So there's no chance that I had the information already to draw the inside of a building I've never been to on a specific day that my friend was going there when I didn't know where he was going. You just can't fake that. So what can I say about it? It was information that was true in reality, falsifiable, verifiable from outside of self. Now I can say that and slam my fist on the desk. I know that. What more can I say about it? When you continue to tell me the truth, I come to trust you. That's my nature. If you ever lie to me, I will then distrust you.
Right.
Maybe less than I would have trusted you if I just met you.
Right.
I'm going to trust you less than when I first met you if you lie to me. But as long as you never do, I'm going to continue to trust you. Now, if you fail, you botched it. Don't know what to tell you. But until you fail, I have no reason to do something besides trust you.
Right.
That's it. That was a long, long story for a short, short question. I do like boobies. Yes, that's true. I do. I used to go to strip clubs when I was younger and irreligious. I liked them. This looks like it could be a question. It's kind of long. Hold on a second. What we got here?
Hey, Cryptonary.
There's Crypta. Hi, Crypta. How's it going? Oh, it was a club, apparently. That's the reference there, club reference, I think. And let's see what this is. What are the odds that the prophet Daniel predicted that the villain of the Hanukkah story or the Antichrist would actually be a... You had me going. You totally had me going there. But yet that the word describing the title, horn.
A little horn.
Does that say little? Oh, it does say little. Thank you. Describing the little horn. It's actually a Karen. That's pretty good. Totally had me going.
I like Commander. Hey, Matt Pig.
Yeah, YouTube's been pretty bad about that recently, Brother Math. All right. Let's wrap it up. We're at like an hour anyway. We should wrap it up. Not make them too darn long.
Yeah, sounds good.
Why would an alien god lead you to a strip club? He didn't. An alien god told me my friend was going to a strip club by having me draw the inside of the strip club. I had no time until he said that did I know I had accurately drawn the inside of a strip club. I didn't even know that. I was wondering why the floor had 2 levels and why the people were sitting at tables too small to eat at, and they're all up against the elevated floor, and why there were people in weird, uncomfortable, contorted body positions on the elevated floor. And I couldn't figure out what the hell it was I was drawing.
That is amazing.
Like, these humans look really uncomfortable. Why is this one standing like this? I wouldn't stand like that. It'd break my back. And why is that one in this other weird body position? Why is everyone up against this elevated floor area? And why is the elevated floor only an L? Right. And why are the tables too small to eat on? I had a lot of questions. It's because you don't eat at those tables. And the women aren't interested in being comfortable. That's not the point.
Exactly.
They're showing off how flexible they are. Now, to a guy, that'll break you. But I really couldn't put it together. I really couldn't. I couldn't figure out why the desk beside the elevated floor was a desk that had no feet and went all the way to the ground. And the guy standing behind a really tall desk that's way too tall.
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
that's what bars look like.
Right.
I didn't get that it was a bar. The check-in guy, checks your coats and takes your fee or whatever like that. I couldn't figure out why he had a desk just like it, but it was shorter. I couldn't figure that one out. I didn't know what the heck he's doing back there. He's not even in the camera shot. He's like behind me and a little bit to the left, And I could plainly, I knew he was there, but I couldn't figure out why. But I didn't need to know why. It was better that I didn't know why.
Right.
I mean, why do you got a 20-foot wide desk that goes almost all the way up to your rib cage? Why the heck you got a desk like that? Because it's not a desk. I thought, oh, that's a desk. It's not.
It's really great. Well, thanks again, Richard, giving me some more stuff to chew on for another week.
Oh, welcome, Moon Medi. Just saw you.
Oh, nice.
And Secular Pagan Mom. I don't remember I said peace and respect to you as well, but peace and respect to you. Sorry. I can't remember if I did or not. Okay, Mac. I think we're done a great disservice by churches. Here's one of them. The preachers there talk about an experience they've obviously never had. That their belief in these things is usually cerebral, not emotional. And if you had a personal experience, that gets pretty damn personal. You get emotional about it, And the reason that they defend these things so poorly, but so strongly, It's because they're not confident because they haven't had that personal experience. And it's just like Chinese whispers or the telephone game, and the story gets bigger on down the line.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to believe it until you tell me, until I see it for myself. They have been pumping up prayer for about 2,000 years now, and it's gotten to the point where you didn't experience the Holy Ghost unless you almost had some kind of like an epileptic problem and a brain hemorrhage. Like, why do you think God would even do that if God could do that? And why do you think that's God? And why do you think that's good? That's not good. Like, you could get hurt. People do get hurt banging around on the floor in churches.
Right.
Well, why the hell would a God want to hurt you? They could just give everybody a calm, meaningful, life impactful prayer, and they wouldn't have to make anybody jiggle on the ground. Couldn't they? I mean, that's not logically impossible, is it?
I think I understand how to provide that right now for people. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said.
Okay. So that's what I think on that topic at this time.
Awesome.
All right.
Another great talk. It flew by again too. I can't believe it's already been an hour.
They go very, very fast.
Yeah.
That's good though. It means we were actually engaged and we weren't bored at any time and wondering how much longer this would take.
Definitely not.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
All right. Well, peace and respect, and I'll see you and to everyone in the chat and everybody that'll see this in the future. See you all around the internets.
Max, spoil them rotten as you can afford to.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that's the end of it. We're going to wrap this up. Until next time, I want you all to know I truly do look forward to the day that we're all great friends. I did bring up a new background here. This is Solomon's Temple. It's physical description of physical things that actually are representative of prayer. We never really got into Solomon's Temple because we were too busy, but that's okay. Thanks for your engagement tonight. Moon Medi, Secular Pagan Mom, Iron Charioteer, Zebra, the Freak, Commander, Cryptomeria. Is that it? Did I leave it? Did I miss anybody? If I miss saying your name aloud, I apologize. Pixie. Oh, did anyone get rid of this bot? Because I'm not going to close this with this bot permanently in here. Did anyone get rid of Jason Cook? Because even if you ban it on, even if you get rid of it on YouTube, it shows up as still there according to StreamYard. So I'm going to have to, oh yeah, that's also, Krishna was here too. Thank you, Krishna. I appreciate you. Yes, good night, everyone. So I have to, before I close this, if one of you tell me that you already zapped that bot, I'll close it. If not, I'm going to have to go to YouTube and make sure that I kill that thing. I don't want that to be part of the permanent recording. Look, there's nothing wrong with human beings enjoying each other physically where agreement on something is obvious to both or more or all people involved. I'll say all people involved. There's nothing wrong with that. However, it was really early on in the show. Oh, don't tell me I can't even get to it to get rid of it. I think I can't even get to it. It was so long ago in the show, I should have done it immediately. All right. Live, you learn. Yeah, I can't even scroll up to it. It's so long ago in the show. Harpo Blues. Peace and respect. All right. So I can't get rid of that bot post-mortem of the show. But that's all right. Till next time, guys. Thank you all very much. I look forward to seeing you later. I really do. Good night.